Denver Broncos Mile High View, no commercials, no bullshit. I guess a win is a win. I just want to start off by saying that Colby will not be able to make Sundays post games like we normally used to be able to do. He actually works for a living like I do. I luckily have the Sundays off so I can do the quasi post game show. So the social media blew up talking about, drumming another quarterback out of town. They want to get rid of Russell Wilson. I'll get into Russell Wilson. I guess if we're going to get into quarterbacks, let's do that right away. Um, at when we entered the fourth quarter, I was in contact with Colby, you know, and I said to him, I said, it's going to find out we're going to find out at the end of this fourth quarter who accidentally wins this game. As far as the quarterbacks are concerned, let's just be real here. Neither quarterback played worth a shit, really. But as far as blaming everything on Russell Wilson, again, you have to take a look at the Denver Broncos. Their offensive line was getting blown up a lot, and which is typical. Russell Wilson on the move. There were a lot of drops by receivers. I'm sorry, this team still isn't all that good. Are we going to get serious and put an offensive line in front of him? I think if you give Russell Wilson a solid pocket, he's going to have a much better game. I'm not big on the receivers we have. He definitely doesn't have Metcalf, and he doesn't have these type of receivers. Although I will say Sutton is as good as it gets. So you have to give both the 49ers and the Denver Broncos credit in this regard, especially the Denver Broncos, in my opinion. The Denver Broncos, I'm going to give credit where credit is due. The Denver Broncos did a hell of a job stopping the run. That was paramount, and they did a hell of a job stopping the San Francisco run, which is really their bread and butter. As far as the passing game goes, Garoppolo had time, and a lot of times he had time. He just couldn't hit the side of a barn. So that really helped the Broncos out in this game quite a bit. Also, I want to be able to say this too: is there's all this talk about Draymond Jones. I think we're in this quest to make Draymond Jones the best since sliced bread. We are forgetting there's a guy named Chubb, and I think Chubb really won this game because Garoppolo's idiotic throw that he made when he was at the back of the end zone turned into the 2 points that ended up really winning this game. To be honest with you, that's really what won the game. It seems like both touchdowns just kind of each other's touchdowns canceled each other out, and it was Chubb's 2 points that ultimately won the game. Excuse me. So anyway, can we get off the Draymond Jones? And let's also put things into perspective too. With regards to Gregory, at the end he made a nice play, but overall, you saw we're paying Gregory Bosa money. What we're supposed to be getting, what Bosa was just lighting it up all night. Gregory did have a play or two, okay, but he's no Bosa. So again, putting money and allocating money, I would much rather pay Chubb than Draymond Jones. DJ Jones really needs to be discussed because he's really the heart and soul of this run stuffing unit that's going on out there. The linebacking out there still doesn't have an answer. They're just getting torched. But again, Garoppolo been able to hit the side of a barn more times than not, it would have been probably a different game. I mean, it would have been a lot different. But again, give the Denver Broncos credit for stopping the San Francisco run. But this game was, the Broncos offense, again, its offensive line was just getting obliterated. for most of the night. It just weren't we the outfit that's at question? Why are we bringing in what's his face Gordon? I was surprised that that touchdown just didn't somehow turn into a fumble somehow. It just I don't know. But yeah, Russell Wilson didn't play the greatest game either. I wouldn't say that the play design is wrong. They have to run it. I think their success really came off of running. I think that's what they are. They're not. They're not a. There's people wanting Shermer. This is not a. This you don't have the player personnel for it. You don't have the offensive line. You don't have the receivers for it. Really, you just don't have the. It's more of the kind of the San Francisco the Shanahan model. It's more of the. Everything's predicated off the run. And quite frankly, both teams did a good job stopping the run. And neither team had really an answer in the passing game. And yes, both quarterbacks were really screwed up in this game. Uh, so I don't want a bunch of people coming on here, especially the crowd that said the Broncos were going to destroy San Francisco. Yes, we probably put too much stock into San Francisco. There's probably a reason they lost a game too, because they just they, the, if they just blew a lot of opportunities, and that was pointed out on the television screen. I think most of it because of Garoppolo's just his bad play. Uh, you got the you have the Colts coming up, but they won. Don't go and start running your mouth saying that you're going to just destroy that team. I just don't think the Broncos have the player personnel to really run with the big dogs. I really don't. Um, I think once they get a team that's not screwing up, the Texans were screwing up. Seattle screwed up. Was screwing up too. I you get a team that can really play without all the screw ups. This could be a much. I don't know. It seems like the Broncos are 2-1, and it just like again, it kind of I guess it's where we thought they would be. Where they're struggling here, and the early part was supposed to be their easier part of the schedule. They got the Colts coming up, and it's in their backyard. They're starting to figure it out too. I'm not. I don't know. I can't say the Broncos are going to win that game. I'm not. I can't say it. I can't say that. I can't say that they're going to beat the Raiders either. I can't say that this team is going to go out and beat anybody. I mean, you can't come here saying we told you so with a stupid game that we just watched. It just you're not telling anybody anything. And most of you out there want to drum Wilson out of town, and I don't know, maybe in 2 years, if this thing doesn't work out, Wilson will ask for a trade. you know, I just don't know what really to make of this team. All I can do, let's just talk about the positives of this, is that as far as run stopping, that the Broncos shined in run stopping. And against this team, that's saying a lot. They, I told Colby, I said to Colby that the Denver Broncos' strength is in their run stopping, and they, like I said, they still have yet Josie Jewell 10 yards behind his receiver, who was a fullback, 10 yards behind a fullback. I said, if you throw, and I don't know when some team finally just does it, relentlessly throws on this linebacking core. Now, you'll say the play that was really the turning point was the interception by the linebacker that was actually caused by Darby. Oh, no, I take that back. Nate Jackson. Jackson went and deflected the ball, but that ball was so poorly thrown by Garoppolo, that they think it was more aimed at the defenders than it was his own receiver. But had that ball been on target, that would have been a first down, not an interception. It just and there was a lot of that. There was a lot of that in the game where if Garoppolo would have only if he would have only my went out again. If Garoppolo wasn't, missing on those targets, this, like I said, this game could have been a lot different. But it is what it is. There we go. I'm back. It is what it is. So, I guess it's kind of hard to do these without Colby, where you can kind of bounce off what we're seeing. But I'm if you come to my channel claiming that this proves this or this proves that about the Broncos being this juggernaut that you all claimed it was going to be, oh, we're winning, we got a winning, yeah, you got a winning, How long is that going to last is anybody's guess. But we're seeing all kinds of things going on in the NFL. The Bills, who we're high on, they lost 4 of their starters on defense, and it cost them the game. But I'm also high. We've been high on. I've been high on Tua, and I've been high on what Miami has been doing too. But I will say this: I just think that the Broncos really need to invest in offensive linemen. I think if the Broncos could really make a commitment to their offensive line, I don't believe in this offensive line whatsoever. Not whatsoever. I like the fire that they're playing with. It's great. I think channels like ours put that fire into their belly because we say you people aren't that great. I think if you keep telling the Broncos they're the greatest thing since toilet paper, and then Russell Wilson you don't have to work hard because Russell Wilson will carry the team. I don't think these people get inspired to play. I think they just think they're going to win. But with us here poking them with a stick, which we should, I think they play more inspired football. But it wasn't anything to write home about. And here's the other thing: they have glaring weaknesses. I mean, they aren't in the upper echelon. They're just not. You can see that. I'm not even saying that San Francisco is quite there either. I mean, with all the gaffes and mistakes, and I almost think they made the same mistake the Broncos. I think they thought they were going to come in here and just without a problem not have any problem beating the Broncos, and the Broncos stopped their running game, and that really threw a wrench at them. And because their quarterback couldn't hit the side of a barn. So maybe next time their quarterback is shit hot and this thing turns into a 30 burger. But give the Broncos credit where it was due. They did their defense did what they had to do, and that was primarily stop the run. And they did a really good job, except for that 50-yard scamper. They clamped down after that. And again, DJ Jones really led that. And I can't say enough about Chubb. Chubb has really, when we were big, we lobbied for Chubb. When everybody wanted to throw Chubb under the bus, we were, for all the haters out there, say we don't like the Broncos. We said Chubb is, they got to keep this guy. They don't listen to the noise about getting rid of Chubb. That dude is a star on the Denver Broncos. Gregory, I'm not convinced. He's a decent player, but not worth the 70. Definitely not worth the 70 million. But maybe they can go 3-1 if they can beat. But again, I don't have confidence that this team can beat the Colts. I don't have confidence in the Colts. I mean, I don't have confidence in them either. But I don't know. I just I just don't. You don't ever know week to week. I'm just saying, one thing I do know is that this team isn't in the upper echelons. They just aren't there. I think this defense could definitely be thrown again. If a team is more, I think if you have a team that's very good at passing, we'll say Kansas City, for instance, a team that throws the ball and is very good, and that's their game. I think that you want to play the Broncos. You're not so much worried about your running. I still think this is a team begging to be thrown on. But San Francisco is a team that everything predicates off their running. So the Broncos did what they had to do. They did shut down the run. That absolutely give them 4 stars, 5 stars for that. And that's what they had to do. And then Garoppolo just he couldn't make up for that lack of running game that happened late as the game went on. So it was what it was. I just again I think people have the wrong idea about what the Denver Broncos are and what they're not. They aren't Shermer ball. It's not five wide. Just keep throwing five wide receivers. I don't know if you noticed, but I'll do a film review. The offensive line, I think that's probably where both lines probably should be highlighted in a film study. Defensive line, as far as the run game went, superb. I don't think they were that great on pass pro, but stopping the run, superb. Offensive line, man, it just folded like a lawn chair more than not. So I'm in the camp that I think they really need to somehow. I don't even know they've got money put in places. I don't know, the Browning experiment that to me has still failed. I think when you saw Josie Jewell running for his life, trying to catch a halfback, he was 10 yards and it was a big pass play. I just don't think that this linebacking core can handle the passing game. I think it's the biggest weak spot. Oh, I wanted to say too, Surtain. I wanted to talk about Surtain. Surtain had a lights out game. He finally, whatever it was. Now, a couple of throws they threw to his strength, but they were trying to do like button routes and curl and whip routes and stuff like this. And he handled it pretty good. So it's nice to see Surtain step up, and that's a big growth. I think marker for him. I think that if he can keep moving forward at that I think their corners they'll have decent corners between Darby and Surtain, but that linebacking core and again, I just think that there's areas in the passing game that are still glaring for this team. So 9 wins, yeah, 9 maybe somehow, depending on I think San Francisco would have had their shit together a little more on offense, but again, everything goes off the running. So you got to give the Denver Broncos credit for, throwing a major wrench into their offense. So San Francisco really couldn't, Garoppolo couldn't deal with throwing the ball. So now, if Garoppolo was in, he can get hot. He can get a hot hand. I guess you could say the same thing with Wilson. See, Wilson could get a hot hand too. But I think that offensive line, though, for the Broncos was much worse than the offensive line for the 49ers. I think Wilson has a bit more of an excuse than Garoppolo. Garoppolo had time to throw, and he couldn't hit the side of a barn. So I don't think that guy has really any excuse. He just really stunk it up. So yes, Russell Wilson threw some really bad dirt balls and stuff like this, but he was under duress. He's not back in the pocket comfortable, and I would like to see again an offensive line, some offensive line help, where he could feel a lot more comfortable. But nobody wants to go there. Nobody covets offensive linemen in this franchise, fan base, the idiotic marketing media that they got. They're sitting here celebrating Draymond Jones when they really should be promoting Chubb. I don't get it. So anyway, I know this isn't much of a post game. It's just kind of a off the top of my head take on the game. Again, give the Denver Broncos defense for stopping the run. They did a phenomenal job with that team doing that. Give them credit for that. And I told Colby going into this game that the run stopping of the Denver Broncos is really their strength on that defense. That's really, really their strength. I think their weakness still is in the passing game. And yes, I think Darby's good. I think Surtain has finally stepped up, but that's not enough. I think that safety, there's issues there, and I think there's absolutely linebacking issues. And some team's going to come and exploit that, and that'll be their big game plan. I just still don't think the Broncos will have an answer for that. They're also not a very good pass rush team. They really aren't. Yeah, they make it a little noise here and there, but that's not really their. And my screen went out again. That's really not, I think, their strength. They're okay at it at times, and that's as good as it gets. So, at any rate, there it is. Again, I'm not going to listen to a bunch of crap that we told you. Yeah, we had this game. You're going to say this game and the game against the Texans that you really told us. I think there's a lot of Bronco fans that would disagree with that. And the Bronco fans, who have concerns, have every right to have concerns about this team. But again, it's not about Hackett, and I don't think it's about Wilson. I just don't think that the core players on this team are that good. And I think that you're going to, and granted, they're motivated going out there. They're not like giving up and putting their tail between their legs. They're working hard out there, and I get that. But I think when the pushers come to shove, when the big dogs come, I don't think this team can run with them. And that's the bottom line. So you're not telling me anything by these two ridiculous wins that they had. I think the Texans left a lot on the field. This 49ers left a lot on the field too. I mean, it could have went another way too. So I'm just going to leave it with that. I'm just not convinced. And you coming here saying a bunch of shit isn't gonna convince me. It has to be on the field. So far, I've got respect for the fact that they're a good run stopping team, and you can thank people like Chubb, you can thank people like DJ Jones for that. Joe, the linebacking has helped in that regard. They've come up in that regard, so in that regard, that yeah. And I even think that Stearns playing safety in that run stopping is really good too. I'm not sure you can really get that with Justin Simmons. So, I'm on board with the Denver Broncos defense run stopping. That I'm on board with. I think they've got a pretty decent core. I think it could get better, but pass pro or excuse me, rushing the passing game, no, I don't buy it. The linebacking core in the passing game, I don't buy it, and I don't buy yet that this is a top safety outfit, and their corners are okay. Okay, so I think this is still a team just begging to be thrown on defensively. So that's where I am on that. Offensively, I just think they need offensive linemen. And I think they need upgrades. They could probably use some upgrade at receivers. They got some decent ones, but I'd really think I wouldn't even be thinking about receivers. I just think what they really need is they really need to upgrade at the offensive line. I don't think it has to do with play calling. I think it has to do with player personnel. Personally, they are who they are. They're not Shermer ball. They're more what you saw with San Francisco. Everything's predicated off the run. San Francisco did a really good job stuffing the Broncos running game. You got to give them that too. The San Francisco 49ers defense definitely deserves credit for stopping the Denver Broncos running game. They did an excellent job at that. And that threw a wrench on each other's offense. So that's where I think that just an off-the-cuff observation, and I'll just end it with that, I guess. So, au revoir. I'll try to do a film study on both these lines. I'm going to probably do a film study on Broncos stopping the run and also maybe some pass pro, and also this offensive line is. Ugh. Okay.